What is up, everybody? We're back, unannounced. It might have been a minute or two, maybe close to a year, but we are going to start uploading again. I have a lot to catch you guys up on, quite a bit. So, first thing we're gonna start with is, don't worry about all this junk in the shop. I got rid of the big turbo ST. I now have a more practical daily. Don't worry, you'll still see the car on the channel. It's just in somebody else's hands. It's still in the group. You will see it. We'll be doing some stuff with it. But now I've got this thing. I know, boring as it is. I got a 13 F-150 Platinum, so I figured I needed to be a big boy, get something that we could tow stuff around with if needed, and it never hurts to have a truck. Everybody's got a buddy with a truck. It never hurts to have one of your own, because you don't want to be that friend. Don't want to be that friend that's always, hey, can I borrow your truck? You know, so that's what we got. Got some of that going on. So now we'll be able to tow the Mustang when it inevitably breaks down. But onto the Mustang. She's still here inside the shop. It does run and drive. And it actually runs pretty good now. So I'm gonna give you guys a nice cold start. I gotta open this door first though. All right, set you up, give you a nice cold start on this unit. I don't know if you'll be able to hear me, but just listen to that. It's idling good. I actually drove it down the driveway about a month ago. It needs some stuff yet. I'll show you underneath the car in a second. It's got a little bit of a tranny leak, I think. I think it's coming out of the torque hard to beat. But the interior on the car, I'm not worried about at the moment. Currently, on the top of my to-do list is get this thing painted, and it's far from it. But look at that idle. Perfect RPM range. Sounds so good. The driver's seat is in and the rear seat is in, so I'm happy with that. Somebody could ride with me if need be. Also, it has lights. Tail lights and headlights work. The brights even work. So, as you can see, headlights on both sides. Tail light, tail light. Ooh. That's the look right there. So, that's where we're at with this thing. But it just sounds so good. So, that's where we're at with this thing at the moment. I hope you could hear me over the exhaust. Speaking of the exhaust, I don't even know if that was on last time you guys saw this car. So, oh, there's my leak I've been telling you about. I think it's torque converter and transmission pan, but we've got header to straight pipe to cherry bombs over the axle. It makes a little bit of noise, but aside from that, the car's the same. I just have a lot of work to do. Speaking of work, this will be my project of the day. I have some rust encapsulator because if anyone's worked on old cars before and they have pitting on the roof, this used to be a vinyl top car, so unfortunately it did rust a lot underneath the top. So I've got to get in all these pits with a wire brush, knock as much of the rust out as I can. And I have some Eastwood rust encapsulator that I will be spraying over the top of it, and then I'll Bondo just to make sure it's flat, and then we'll primer over that and then top coat. So it's a whole process. Very long process. I think the whole car needs re-primered again anyways, because when old cars sit around like this and don't get worked on, they become a workbench and storage. So for a long time, this car was part storage and tool storage and all that stuff, as you can see on the trunk. Evident by all of these nice oil stains and scratches and all that junk. Also, things like this tend to happen, which I don't know if you can tell how deep that is. That's probably 1/8 of an inch deep. So we get to fix that kind of stuff and just things that weren't wrong with it when the car was first primered. But that's life, you know. Things get in the way, obstacles happen, you just gotta get over it and get stuff done. So the car will have to be reprimered, which is a lot of work, and I'm not looking forward to it. But at least I can bring you guys along with me. So this will be today's project, and I'm not going to torture you guys too much with it. We got the meat and potatoes of the video, getting to listen to the car, hearing it fire up. So I am probably going to do a time lapse of just getting the whole roof prepped and then spraying it, because I've got little spots like this that need to be redone because they've bubbled up, you know. So I'm going to try and get most of the roof sanded down, and just wherever there's pits, I will be putting rust encapsulator. It's not exciting, but it needs to be done, and not a lot of people post videos on doing stuff like this to their old cars. It's usually, oh, I blew the engine in my Mustang and I've got to replace it, or, you know, exciting things. So I'm here to be boring. But at the end of it, hopefully in the springtime, this car will be painted and I will be able to drive it on the road with 4-wheel drum brakes and maybe 300 wheel horsepower. If that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will, right? Right? I mean, Mustang, you know? V8 noises. So, I'm gonna get to work. All right, guys. I am maybe an eighth of the way done with this section. There's so many pits in this roof, it's kind of ridiculous, but you can kind of see the goal of what I'm trying to get here. Get all these pits cleaned out nice, and that's what I'm working with. And some of it even has primer on it yet up here. I have to go along the whole front of the roof, kind of where the windshield meets, but it's more or less up here. Yeah, I've got all that to do, and then section right here on this pillar, I'm gonna take all this down because there's some bubbles in it yet too. And then this pillar as well. You can see where it's at on there. All right, so I broke the sander, so we're not gonna be getting done today, unfortunately. So I've got to get a piece for that. But I got quite a ways on it, and I laid down a coat of rust encapsulator. Also discovered there's a lot of holes in this roof. A lot. So I'm gonna show you those, but I'm pretty disappointed that there's this many. That's what comes with having a vinyl top, I guess. So the passenger side is better than the driver's side, but the passenger side's still pretty bad. But here it is. So you can see a couple holes right there. They're really not very big. I mean, you know, for reference, that was the end of my finger. But this side is a different story. I knew there was one fairly decent sized hole in the roof over here because we put some mesh tape in there and a little bit of body filler before, but I did not realize that there was this many small holes over here. So I'm very glad that we took this back down to metal, because that's a lot. So there's my finger again, just for size reference. Yeah, that sucks. Also got this, but the sander broke about right here. So I've still got to do this section along the pillar. You can see where those pits are in that, and on this little trim piece here. And then I've got to do this whole front section because for some reason the roof rusted in like a square, which I can't explain to you. I have no idea why it would do that. This whole front strip, just like this back section, I've got it about 6 inches wide there that I stripped of primer. Got to do the same thing up here. But on the plus side, we got something done. And if it weren't for tools breaking, I would have been here for another 2 or 3 hours probably.